The evolution of life is heavily reliant on the environment around it. This can be seen throughout Earth's ecosystems and why life is the way it is. But what about life that isn't within the same environment as Earth? Well, we don't know about it. We only really have the example of Earth for how life evolves, but we do know that the environment heavily influences the way that life develops and adapts, and if life were to be restarted on Earth, the ecosystems would still be different, even if some common trends would remain consistent. That is to say, these trends would also be reliant on abiotic factors. But nonetheless, what does this have to do with the title of the video, and what is this video even about? In case my ramblings didn't make it evident, this is a speculative biology project in which I will be developing an alien ecosystem from the beginning of its natural history. Sort of. When I say sort of, I mean I will be starting at the point of microanimal analogues, similar to what you might see in rotifers, flatworms, etc., and then working from there. But I digress, I can't even really have these alleged microanimal analogues without a planet to inhabit. Specifically, a planet that has most of the same life-causing and sustaining factors as Earth, such as a breathable terrestrial oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere with a touch of carbon and argon, water, a magnetic field, and a reasonable distance from its home star. Anyway, let's start with something of a criteria. I want a higher mass star than the Sun, higher gravity than on Earth, more intense seasons than those on Earth, and at least one major moon and one minor moon. First of all, higher mass stars are shorter lived and output more ultraviolet radiation. Due to how short the wavelengths of ultraviolet radiation are, they have a tendency to break apart organic molecules. But that shouldn't be too much of an issue so long as we stay within the reasonable side of the spectrum. Another reason to stick to a reasonable size is the fact that higher mass stars often die faster than lower mass stars. Alright, so let's give our star the following characteristics. This will give our star a lifetime of 7 billion years, which is more than enough time. It will also give a whitish-bluish coloration, with a higher luminosity than our Sun. Its habitable zone of 1.196 to 1.723 astronomical units, or AU, will be where we will place our habitable planet. So, we'll give our planet a distance of 1.44 AU, giving an orbital period of 596 Earth days. This does create a problem, however, because the average temperature would be -5 degrees Celsius. This will be fine, and complex terrestrial life could exist, but biodiversity will be lower than optimal to explore the possibilities for different niches and environments. We can circumvent this issue by making the planet larger than Earth, meaning it will have a thicker atmosphere, thus a higher greenhouse effect. So, let's say our planet has the following characteristics. This will make for some interesting life, as it will most likely need to be lower to the ground, or have stronger support structures than those on Earth, such as an alternative to calcareous bones, which are made of calcium carbonate, though we'll touch on that later in the series. As for the atmosphere, it will be quite hard to say. Atmospheres will change constantly, and this will also be especially applicable with the advent of life. However, let's say that it has relatively 2 times the atmospheric density of Earth. This also means that flying may be easier, and if high oxygen is present, there's a possibility for quite large life forms. Once again, however, we'll touch on that later in the series. Now, moons. At least one major moon is necessary to stabilize the axial tilt of the planet. Habitable planets can exist without moons, but seasons will be very inconsistent. That being said, this is a fascinating world-building idea, but for the sake of my sanity, we are going to have a moon. 2, in fact. The further out a planet is, the more moons it has. This can be seen in the gas giants and even the tiny Pluto. We'll have a minor moon and a major moon. The first moon we will cover will be the major moon, which will have the following characteristics. And these are the characteristics of our minor moon. This will also give tides about 3 times the magnitude of those on Earth, which will likely be good for transitioning to land, but we'll cover that at a later time. So, there's most likely one more important thing to cover that is a given, the actual continents. Though I do not show the plates, they will be important in the drift of these continents later in the timeline. Alright, that answers what I believe to be every question. In the next episode, we'll move on to the development of complex multicellular life. Analogues to plants and animals will begin to spread, forming quite the ecosystem. Until then, pretend I said something that serves as a memorable outro. This will give our star a lifetime of 7 billion years, which is more than enough. That's so abrupt. Why would I write it like that?